Hey, what's up guys, it's Noah here. Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today I'm going to be going over a Pokemon team that I think is really unique and interesting, and it's taking a concept from singles Pokemon and moving it to doubles Pokemon, and I think it just makes for really good content. So let's get into it. Okay, so here we are on PokemonShowdown.com, and this is the team. So the concept from singles is called stall, and essentially the team is you use a bunch of Pokemon that are really bulky and can't be killed, and you just wear down your opponent, right? You take a little bits of damage here and there, you take little increments, but in reality, in doubles, this doesn't really work that great because you have two Pokemon attacking these stall Pokemon at once, and so it becomes very easy to pick up quick knockouts over and over again. Also, in doubles, you're allowed to Dynamax, whereas in singles, most singles formats, you're not allowed to. However, my attempt is to make stalls work in doubles. So, this is the team I built. We have Cresselia with Chesto Berry, which wakes the holder up if it's asleep and it's single use. So what the goal with Cresselia is set up Calm Minds, set up set up Calm Minds to boost our special attack and defense, and then Psyshock and Moonblast, and then rest away any HP that we might lose. Grimmsnarl is here to make these bulky Pokemon even bulkier with Light Screen and Reflect, and then Spirit Break. And Fake Tears pairs well with Tornadus, which I'll get to in a second. Incineroar has Fake Out, Flare Blitz, Taunt, and Parting Shot. This is just to shut down any other Pokemon that might be trying to set up on us. Fake Out, just in case something might be trying to, it's just a good utility move. It's useful in a ton of different scenarios. Incineroar is pretty much the only meta Pokemon that I'm going to be using on this team. Claydol has Cosmic Power, Stored Power, Rest, and Sleep Talk. Now, this is why Claydol is my home screen for Pokemon Showdown right now. It's because the two practice games that I played, these two Pokemon have absolutely blown people away. This Claydol set is Cosmic Power, Stored Power, Rest, and Sleep Talk. The way Cosmic Power works is it raises the user's defense and special defense by 1. So it continuously gets bulkier and bulkier the more you use Cosmic Power. And Stored Power works that for each boost you get plus 20 power to Stored Power's attack power. So it starts at 20, but if you have plus 3 defense, plus 3 special defense, you have plus 120 because you have 6 total boosts. You have plus 120 to your stored power, so you have an 140 base power stored power, which is ridiculously strong, even coming off a 90 base Pokemon. Lastly, we have the Starf Berry, which raises a random stat by 2 when at 1/4 max HP or less, and that pairs really well with the Rest and Sleep Talk because Claydol is just going to be really bulky, impossible to knock out, and hopefully we'll activate the Starf Berry and get maybe a special attack boost or a speed boost or a defense boost. Registeel is actually fairly meta, this kind of Registeel, where you have Iron Defense, Body Press, Amnesia, and Protect. Basically, you make Registeel unkillable, and it deals with Pokemon really well in the late game, unless they're ghost types, in which case Body Press doesn't work. The way Body Press works is it uses the defense stat instead of the attack stat in damage calculation, which is super helpful for a Pokemon that has 150 base defense and just 171 defense without any investment is ridiculous. And once you use 1 Iron Defense, you become way more impossible to kill because you now have, instead of 171 defense, you have 242 defense, which is just ridiculous. 342 defense, sorry. My mind is, don't worry about that. Anyway, it becomes ridiculously hard to kill, and Body Press becomes ridiculously strong. So Registeel starts doing insane amounts of damage, and Protect is there to get a little bit of health back with leftovers, which at the end of every turn, holder restores 1/16 of its maximum health points. Now, Tornadus is really cool. It has Prankster ability, which means all of its status moves go first. Substitute and Nasty Plot, as you can see, as indicated by this little marker here, are status moves. Substitute literally puts in a substitute to take damage for Tornadus, and Nasty Plot raises its special attack stat by 2. So Tornadus is here to essentially stall out opponent's Dynamax and then Nasty Plot and just hit stuff. That's the plan with Tornadus. Very strong, especially with the Salac Berry, which raises its speed by 1 stage when it's at 1/4 max HP or less. So this thing becomes really fast. It just becomes really fast in general once it gets the Salac Berry off. That's pretty much the team. I'm gonna tweak a couple of EVs, little things here and there, and let's get into a game. I'll see you all when we hit our first game. Alrighty, we have our game, and the last thing that I forgot to mention, I just realized, is that Fake Tears on Grimmsnarl goes first. It has +1 priority as well because of Prankster, and it halves opponent's special defense. So if you use Grimmsnarl with Fake Tears and Max Tornadus, it's very, very difficult for opponents to kind of counter that, which I think is what I'm going to go for here in this game. Is this Grimmsnarl Tornadus and then Registeel Incineroar late game, because Registeel looks really strong into Heatran. It looks pretty strong into Nihilego. Sorry, I forgot the name of the Pokemon for a second. It looks very strong into Clefairy and a little bit Tapu Fini and Urshifu as well, but not as much. I'm a little worried about Urshifu. I think I'm gonna bring Cresselia just for Moonblast. I think it's gonna be really, really strong. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see how this team works. I've played a couple of practice games with it, but not too many. I'm actually gonna turn off my music here. Yeah, I haven't played too many practice games with it. Played maybe 3, and I've won 2 and lost 1. So it's a volatile team. You kind of either sweep or you get swept. But let's see how it goes. Yeah, I kind of increased my Tornadus' speed right before we started because of Urshifu. So I think what I want to do is just nuke the Urshifu straight away. I don't see any reason to not do that. I could also Spirit Break into the Heatran, which I think I might do here. I think Airstreaming into whatever comes in is really, really strong because it just gets us a speed boost straight away. So I'm going to do that, and they stay in with Urshifu, which means that if they do protect, okay, that's fine with me. I'm going to get a speed boost, and I'm going to really, really hit stuff hard here. I could have also light screened, but I figured this was just as good. We get a little bit of damage off, and it's the same effect, essentially. So no burns, which is good, and now I'm going to light screen and do the same thing, just Airstream into Urshifu. They go into Thundurus, which is fine, because now I'm at +2 speed, and as you can see, after they taunt my Grimmsnarl, which is not ideal. I'm gonna go into Thundurus here and Max Flare the... I could also go back out into Urshifu. It depends on whether I think this Thundurus is Defiant or not. If it's Defiant, then I want to... If it's not Defiant, I want to Spirit Break it. If it is Defiant, then I don't want to Spirit Break it. I'm actually just gonna do this. I'm gonna double into it. They max their Thundurus. Okay, let's see if it's Defiant or whether it's regular. Old. Okay, that is definitely physical. So this is really gonna tickle once the Defiant goes off. That's fine. I should be okay here because my Tornadus' Heat Wave should do enough to KO, but it's gonna be kind of difficult from this position, I think. Now the question is, do I want to save Grimmsnarl for this late game with Cresselia? And I think I do. I think this thing's gonna try to go for like Moonblast into Grimmsnarl here, so I'm gonna switch into Registeel in that slot and just go for Heat Wave. I think that makes a lot of sense in this scenario. I could also substitute, which is not a bad move at all. They're not gonna outspeed me. I'm gonna substitute here with Tornadus. I don't think that's a bad move at all. Get my sub in. I go for Airstream into my Tornadus to substitute, which is fine. Now they probably will be faster than me. Well, now they're definitely gonna be faster than me. I'm just gonna protect Registeel and sub again. No reason not to substitute here, because after the substitute, I should be able to take the Icy Wind from Tapu Fini, and I'll be fine. I'll be in an okay spot. Go for another substitute. Get my Salac Berry activated, which is really good. Still be slower than Tornadus, but it's okay. Nature's Madness comes out in Registeel, but that's not going to do too much. Now I'm going to go back into Cresselia, I think. Is that what I want to do here? Could also Amnesia or Iron Defense. I'm going to Iron Defense, actually. That looks really, really strong in this scenario. And Heat Wave, because there's no reason not to. Okay, they Wild Charge into Tornadus. That's going to do a decent amount of damage to themselves. Yeah, 6% is fine. Nature's Madness into Registeel, but I do get a little bit of health back, and I get my 2x defense, which is very, very important. Now I get Grimmsnarl back in, and I can Reflect here, which is really good in this position. I can also Protect. I think Reflect, Protect makes a lot of sense here. Because now with Cresselia in this late game, even though I'll be down 2 Pokemon, Registeel with 2x defense, Reflect, and Light Screen up, and Cresselia about to be Calm Minding with Reflect up is just really, really hard to beat, I think. Especially if you don't have a good answer for them. So, and in this position, neither of these Pokemon are really in position to do a ton of super effective damage, right? Thundurus might be able to hit me with Superpower, but I'm not too worried about it. And we're scouting for it here. I Wild Charge into Grimmsnarl. Yeah, that's fine by me. I'm going to get my free switch into Cresselia, and they taunt Registeel, but I protect it, which is really, really good. I'm going to go for Body Press into Thundurus now. I think that should KO. We'll see. It might not, but I think it should. And we're going to go for Calm Mind here on Cresselia. Now let's see if they have superpower on Thunderous. They don't. They have Lash Out instead, but that's fine. Cresselia is not going to do too much damage. I do need to get rid of Tapu Fini soon because this taunt is going to be a problem. We do KO Thunderous, which is very, very good. They bring Urshifu back in. I need to body press this thing instantly, and probably Rest is probably my best play because this thing's going to hurt with a Wicked Blow. Even if it's not banded, it's still going to do a ton of damage. So, they might taunt Cresselia as well, which is kind of the problem. I'm just going to Psy Shock into Tapu Fini here. And Nature's Madness Registeel, which is a good play. They do KO me with Urshifu, but is now 2v1, and the taunt's about to wear off on Registeel. And I should be able to KO Keytrain here, honestly, and I think... Oh, okay, this Keytrain is a little bit faster than me, and it connects on Heat Wave. So, first game we lose. I'll play one more. But you can kind of see how the team shapes up, right? And taunt on Tapu Fini there, the support sort of Tapu Fini really threw me for a loop, but this team is designed to kind of stall out hyper-offensive teams. This team is an interesting matchup. I do like this team, but I don't know if it's necessarily great. I actually used a very, very similar version of this team in a tournament. I just used, let me find it real quick. I used Weakness Policy Regice instead of Glastrier, which is pretty interesting. They opted for Glastrier instead. I do think Cresselia looks really strong here. I think its Registeel looks ridiculously strong, along with Incineroar. I think I'm gonna bring the core 4. These are probably my best 4 Pokemon just in general, and I really like bringing them to matchups. They just do so much damage together, right? Incineroar next to Registeel. First, it lets people not taunt Registeel before they can KO it. Yeah, it's very, very strong, and Registeel just kind of hangs out and sets up in front of people, and it becomes really, really difficult to break. I'm gonna Fake Tears, and I could honestly Nasty Plot here. Is not a bad idea. I'm gonna Fake Tears Nasty Plot because there's nothing really that these two can do in front of me that I'm worried about, right? They're going for like a slower sort of setup with Trick Room, right? So I'm just gonna Reflect here and Nasty Plot again, and then I'm gonna substitute the next turn, I think, because whatever they bring in is gonna try to max and hit Tornadus, and I think Nasty Plot makes a lot of sense. We're gonna Nightshade into Torn, that's fine, and they're gonna Flare Blitz Torn. Okay, well I'm gonna get my Salac Berry off, which is really good, but the problem is now that I can't Reflect, or that I can't substitute. I didn't expect them to go for a double up into Torn there. It's a little bit of a problem. I'm gonna Spirit Break and Hurricane into Dusclops. We KO Torn, which is fine. And they Parting Shot out. Not ideal. I probably should have read into a double up there from Dusclops and Incineroar, but it is what it is. I probably could have maxed it in that scenario, especially because Dusclops' special defense is low. Now I don't really have anything to take advantage of that. In fact, I don't have anything at all to take advantage of that. So the question here becomes, what do I want to do against this Amoonguss? And I think I'm going to try to stall out Trick Room as best I can. Okay, good. Now I'm going to Fake Tears the Amoonguss and switch out into Incineroar, because as soon as this Trick Room is over, I'm going to want to switch back into Registeel, and actually I'm gonna max Incineroar here and go for Flare Blitz. I think that makes a lot of sense in this position. Their last is definitely going to be Glastrier, so I need to keep Incineroar alive. But I need to get rid of this Amoonguss as fast as possible, right? Because it's just going to spore everything under Trick Room, and that can be a real problem. But my Incineroar needs... as long as my Incineroar wakes up soon, I think we should be okay. Because these two aren't doing any real damage together. We are still asleep, which is not ideal. I'm going to max strike the Incineroar here. Actually, I'm going to go back out into Registeel now and max strike the Incineroar. So because our max option went down really early here, oh, that's a decent amount of damage. We are going to get the max sleep turns here on Incineroar, which is really problematic, I'm not going to lie. Flare Blitz did a lot of damage, but I'm going to Iron Defense here. There's no reason not to, and Flare Blitz into the Incineroar slot. Because if they switch into Amoonguss, it's just going to take a Flare Blitz, which is really ideal for me. Nightshade comes out, that's fine. I wake up, I go for Flare Blitz into Incineroar. That's fine. I'm not going to do too much damage to myself. I get the Iron Defense off. Then a Parting Shot into my Incineroar, which is fine. I definitely need to go back out into my own... I'm going to Protect and go out into Grimmsnarl here. They protect a Moongus, which is fine. I'm going to Body Press and go out into an Incineroar here. I need to get damage off on this Moongus, like, soon. Okay, they'd fail the double protect, which is really good. That does not do enough damage, really. I'm going to go for another Body Press and Flare Blitz, but they're going to Spore and Nightshade probably into Incineroar here. The best I can do is just hope to get Registeel set up with Iron Defense, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm now going to go... I could also Protect here. I'm going to Protect and go back out into Grimmsnarl, predicting a Spore from a Moongus. As long as the Moongus keeps protecting, we're in a fine spot. It's going to Spore here. Into Registeel, perfect. I'm going to go back at... I just protected with Registeel. I'm going to Iron Defense again and Reflect, because I don't think that the opponent has a ton of damage outside of physical. So I'm going to keep Iron Defensing here and just continuously chip away. I think my Registeel might be able to 4v1 this whole thing once the Dusclops is gone, because it just can't hit Dusclops because of... Ooh, that tickles. Okay. Big critical hit there from Grimmsnarl. Now the question is, do I want to keep Grimmsnarl around to take KO Dusclops or Incineroar? And that's the problem. I'm kind of running out of options to KO Dusclops right now. I think Incineroar is slightly better, but I need to get more damage off into this thing. Okay, good. They go back out into Incineroar, which is really good. I get my Spirit Break off. And Nightshade comes out into that, which is fine. Now I'm going to Body Press and Flare Blitz into Dusclops, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And I don't think I'm going to have enough offense into Dusclops in this late game. I needed to max I really needed to max the Tornadus on the second turn. Right, where was it? Not the second turn, but the second turn. Right here, where Grimmsnarl went for Reflect. I needed to max Tornadus immediately because I didn't have any damage into this Dusclops, and that ended up being the biggest issue for me here. But yeah, I think that's going to be about it for the team. You can kind of see how it works. Hopefully I'll get a couple games soon on the Switch, actually, where I can pull this off, but it was just a funny team. I thought it was pretty cool that it worked a couple times in practice, but I hope you all enjoyed it. It's pretty silly, but in the end it didn't work for us. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it anyway, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.